In a game without Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris, and Isaiah Stewart, the Detroit Pistons showed tremendous effort and nearly pulled this one out, but fell apart short in this loss against the Los Angeles Clippers.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I am your host, Khahil. I've been covering the Detroit Pistons for the last 4 years for Locked On Network, Bangladesh media member now for 3 years. And I appreciate all of you guys who make Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Later on, we'll discuss why the need for another shooter on this team. They're a very deep team. They are a very good team. They are a great team. But even great teams have some holes, have some flaws that need to be addressed if they want to get to where they want to get to. And getting another shooter is something they need to do. We'll get into it a little bit later. Then also we'll talk about an opportunity missed in this game as well. But let's start with the game itself. The Pistons were without Cade Cunningham in this game, Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris, and Isaiah Stewart. None of them played in this game. Now, the Detroit Pistons do not play again. Let me just double check this. I'm pretty sure they don't play again until the 15th. So I believe that had something to do with them not playing. Give them a good rest here. Yeah, they don't play again until they play the Suns on the 15th. So they're going to have 5 days off, even longer, because Duren hasn't played in a minute. Cade missed the last game. They're going to get 5 days off. I expect them all to play at that point. No need to rush them back into this game. Let them get this longer rest, and then they'll come back against Phoenix on the 15th. So that's what I think is going to happen. I don't think there's anything too concerning with those guys. But nonetheless, the Pistons were without all of them. And Cade obviously is their best offensive player. Jalen Duren is probably their second best offensive player. Isaiah Stewart stepped up in the last game before this one, scoring 31 points to help them get that win. Tobias Harris is one of their, 4-5 best offensive players. So a lot of at least 3. I'm not going to sit and act like Isaiah Stewart's one of their highest ranked, offensive engines, even though he showed last game that he actually apparently is able to scale up and do that at times. Basically, a lot of the Pistons, almost all of really their offensive firepower was gone in this game. So that required JB Bickerstaff to change the game plan just a tad, I'd say. And I think the game plan he went into this game with was absolutely perfect, and the Pistons executed it for 40 minutes perfectly. The talent level between the Clippers and the Pistons is large with all those guys out. The Clippers are a much more talented team. However, the way you fight against that is obviously you have to have defensive personnel, which the Pistons do. They have great defensive personnel. But you also got to keep the possessions limited. When you keep the possessions limited, you tighten the skill gap, the talent gap. You get out in transition, and you don't force things offensively. You understand we're not going to be great offensively. We're not going to force things offensively. What we're going to do, we're going to be great defensively. We're going to take care of the ball. We're going to limit possessions, and we're going to get out in transition when we can, and we're going to suffocate you guys to make it to where you guys can't score in the half court. We're going to play physical. We're going to force the refs to tell us to stop being physical, and if they allow us to play this way all night, that's how we're going to play. And for 40 minutes, the Pistons absolutely executed this. They had 29 stocks in this game. Steals and blocks. Tolu Smith, who was called up. Last podcast, I talked about this. Opposing fan bases got to be sick of seeing random 71 overalls go off against them when they play the Pistons, whether it's Chaz Lanier or Dennis Jenkins or now Tolu Smith or Marcus Sasser. It's just Javonte Green, like Paul Reed. All these random guys, at least they're not random to us in the community, but to outside the fan base, to outside the community, when opposing fan base go against the Pistons, like, oh my God, it's not even Cade killing us. It's not even Duren, Stu, Ron, Sasser. It's none of these guys killing us. It's one of these random guys that we don't even know. And Tolu Smith continued that. He got his chance in this game. He had 9 points, 14 rebounds. He had 4 blocks and a steal. Now, the crazy thing about this is he had 9 points while going 1 of 7 from the field. He got to the free throw line 8 times, made 7 of his free throws. So good on him for there. But Tolu Smith came in and he played a fine game. Played 26 minutes and was impactful. He was good on the defensive end of the floor. Along with Tolu Smith on the defensive end, you had Ron, who had a block and a steal apiece. Sasser had 3 blocks and 2 steals. Paul Reed had 5 steals, 2 blocks. Javonte Green had 4 steals, 3 blocks. Harris and Duncan both had 2 steals. Like, they were incredibly active on the defensive end, and they relied heavily. They were relying heavily on the defense of Sasser, Paul Reed, Javonte Green, and Ron Holland, and I give credit to Tolu as well. They relied heavily on their defense to lock down James Harden, to lock down Kawhi Leonard, get the ball out of their hands, suffocate them full 94 feet. I mean, they were pressing off inbounds against these guys. They were making them incredibly uncomfortable to force random events, to force random turnovers, random transition opportunities. That's how you gain more possessions. That's how you get points on the board, and you limit, again, this talent gap between you and the Clippers when you're down that many guys. And like I said, for the majority of the game, the first 40 minutes of the game, the Pistons executed that perfectly. Ron Holland had a windmill dunk with around like 8.5 minutes left in the fourth. Clippers called timeout. The Pistons were up 14 at that point. It felt like the Pistons were going to run away with it. It felt like the Pistons had taken the Clippers' hearts. It felt like they were basically going to submit. That's what it felt like to me watching. But then right out of timeout, the Clippers go immediately on a 12-0 run. And what coincides with that 12-0 run is turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover. If you're going to play this way, if this is going to be your game plan when you're down this many offensive players, which again, I think I think JB has back-to-back coached a really great game. 2 of my favorite games of the year. I thought this was incredible what he did in this game. Down this many players, the game plan he went in with. But if this is going to be your game plan, what you cannot do is give the opposing team easy possessions, extra possessions that allow them to avoid your half-court offense or your half-court defense. And that's what lost the Pistons the game. In the fourth quarter alone, in the fourth quarter alone, this team had 11 turnovers. 11 turnovers in the fourth quarter alone. Into the fourth quarter, they had, I believe, 12 turnovers through 3 quarters. Through 3 quarters, they had 12 turnovers. In 1 quarter alone, they had 11. That is what lost the Pistons the game. That right there, you can point to other little things that maybe happened throughout the game for why the lead wasn't maybe at 20 or whatever. But the reason the Pistons lost this game because they couldn't take care of the ball in the fourth quarter. They started flipping the ball, and that allowed the Clippers to avoid having to attack the Pistons half-court offense. The score of this game was 98-92. The Pistons kept the Clippers underneath 100. If you tell them before the game you keep the Clippers below 100, the score is 98-92. Who wins this game? It's the Detroit Pistons. They feel like they won that game. But the Pistons allowed them to get out and get easy baskets in transition, get easy baskets on fast break because they just couldn't keep control of the ball. Danis in the fourth quarter had 4 turnovers. Paul Reed had 2. Harris had 1. Ron had 1. Duncan had 1. Javonte had 2. That's what killed the Pistons. If they would have just stuck to the script, even missed shots deep into the shot clock, obviously you don't want those. That's not what you're planning for. But even those are better than turnovers. Even deep or misses deep into the shot clock that allow you to then get back into your half-court setting, even that would have been better for them rather than just flipping the ball and allowing them to get out and run on them. And that absolutely killed the Pistons. Absolutely killed them. I thought this was going to be a fantastic win. I thought this was going to be one of those wins where we come on to the podcast and say, don't know how they keep doing it. Don't know how they keep doing it with this much of a talent gap, all their guys being out and still finding a way to win. I don't know how they do it. And it was almost that. That was almost what happened until the fourth quarter, and they just fell apart. Coming up, we'll talk about needing some shooting. The team obviously needs shooting. We'll break down how that was on display in this game as well. And that was another part of why maybe they didn't win this game and why their offense didn't explode. But, I mean, like I said throughout the segment, when you're down that many guys, JB correctly is aware we're probably not going to be able to score in the half court. Like, all of our main offensive guys are gone. All of our advantage creators are gone. We have to muddy the waters. We have to play a different style. We have to throw it back 10, 15 years. We have to, that's how the kind of game we're going to have to play to win. And they made it that type of game. They knew that's what kind of game they were playing in, and they were winning for the majority of the time until they just started turning the ball over. But coming up, we'll talk about the shooting, and hopefully I believe, or I'd like them to address this shooting concern before the deadline if they want to reach where they want to go in the future. Fridays already feel different during the basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame and limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing at the NBA Happy Hour. The timing is perfect, right before the games and right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Later on, we will discuss an opportunity missed in this game. But first, we've got to talk about the shooting. Even with Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Tobias Harris all healthy, we all are aware that the weakness of this team is their three-point shooting. We all are aware that they don't get a lot of threes up, which even if they acquired some more three-point shooting, I don't think anyone thinks that they should become top 10, top 15 in three-point rate. I don't think anyone's suggesting that, but they need to get a little higher than 27th, and they have to make a little bit more threes than they're currently making, especially from like above the break. So everyone knows that that is their biggest weakness. They don't have enough shooting. They don't have enough scoring, I guess, as well. So when you're down, Duncan, or not Duncan, Cade, Duren, Stu, and Tobias, it's going to be even on more display. And Duncan did his best. Duncan started off this game. It felt like his first 6 shots didn't touch the rim. He was starting out the gate extremely hot. He was 5 of 7 from beyond the arc in this game, but all 20 of his points came in the first half. In the second half, he didn't score a single bucket. He only got 1 shot up, which I think is a bit of a mistake by the Detroit Pistons. In the second half, knowing that Duncan is your main shooter, knowing he is really your only shooter, and how hot he was in the first half, I feel like there should have been an emphasis to make sure he got the ball. He needs to get threes up. Even if he went 0 of 5 from deep in the second half, with how he started off the game 20 in one half, hitting 5 threes, knowing the limited offensive personnel that you have, I feel like there should have been more of an emphasis to make sure we're getting Duncan threes. Make sure you're getting Duncan shots. And in the second half, they just didn't do it. He only got 1 shot up, and he did not have nearly as effective of a second half as he did in the first half. So that was disappointing, I think. I think that was one of the Pistons' bigger mistakes when you talk about their offensive side of the floor. However, if you just just throw Duncan out of it. Just ignore Duncan. This is something I've talked about on the podcast a ton. Everyone has a role in this team. Everyone has a role. Duncan's role is to be a three-point shooter. Duncan's role is to be the movement shooter. His role is not to be a lockdown defender. His role is not to be a great playmaker. His role is not to be one of their best rebounders. His role is to be someone who provides spacing, movement shooting, and someone who can run DHOs with Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, etc. That's his role. For example, let's just say Tolu Smith. He comes into the game. His role is not to be the guy that scores 20. His role is not to be the guy that creates his own offense. His role is not to be the guy that, is trying to do anything really offensively. His role, come into the game, grab rebounds, play hard defensively, and crash the glass. Roll to the rim. That's his role. Javonte Green, he comes into the game. His role, instant energy, constant energy, hustle on defense, nonstop hustle on defense. His role is not on offense to create his own bucket. His role on offense is not to, at times maybe he gets a large volume of threes up, but you are not playing Javonte Green because you think he's providing you this elite level three-point shooting. That's not what his role is, and that's not what his impact is supposed to be felt at. You can go up and down the roster when it comes to this. Everybody on this team has a role that they fit into. And everyone has a role that maybe you're not asking them to do more than that. You don't want them to do more than that. Everyone has a role. And when, Ron Holland is tied with Duncan Robinson for 3-point attempts with 7 in this game, I think you have a problem. Now, this is not a diss on, this is not me so much criticizing Ron. It's me pointing out the blatant flaws with this team, which is Ron is feeling so confident and so enabled to take these 3-point looks, which, fine, but it's more so empowered by the fact that the team just doesn't have anyone else on the team who is willing or is capable of making a large chunk of threes. So you have guys like Ron getting threes up and being that quote-unquote spacer within lineups when he's just not that. So Ron ties Duncan Robinson in 3-point attempts in this game because who else is going to shoot him? You got Marcus Sasser. He got he played 7 minutes in this game. He got 4 threes up. What is his role is to come in, hit threes. Come in, score the basketball. Come in, hit, catch, and shoot. That is his role. And when he comes into the game and goes 0-4 on really good looks, by the way, the Pistons were creating good 3-point looks. When he comes in and goes 0-4 on these looks, it's tough. When your shooters are not doing their role of hitting open 3-point looks, it's going to be tough. Jayden Ivey, we've talked about it a ton with him. How much of his shot diet is 3-point shooting now. In this game, he goes 0-5 from deep. I feel like almost every single one of Ivey and Sasser's looks were completely wide open. They generated open threes for these guys. If these guys hit 35%, I heard Greg Kelser talk about it during the game. If the Pistons were even hitting just 34% of their threes from those guys, from the guys you need, this game plays out completely different. But everybody has a role. Your defensive guys have a role. Again, just go throughout the roster. And when your shooters, what their role is to hit open threes, are not hitting those, you're going to struggle. And Ivey went 0-5. That's tough. It's going to be hard to win those games. Karis LeVert, supposed to be a scorer. I don't really look at him as a shooter, but the Pistons have him playing a lot as a shooter. He goes 0-3 from deep. Again, it's just going to be tough. It's going to be tough to win those games. Javonte Green is second on the team in 3-point attempts in this game. 5 threes gotten up. If Javonte Green is one of your high-volume 3-point shot takers, you're probably in a bit of a problem. That probably should not be the case. The solution to this is not Ron taking 7 threes or Ron continuing to take high-volume threes. The solution to this is not to ask Sasser to all of a sudden start taking 3-corner threes a game, because he's probably going to miss all 3. And if you ask Ron to take 6 threes, he's probably only going to make 1, maybe 2 on a hot night. That's not the solution here. The solution is not to ask players who are not good at things to then all of a sudden become good at things midway through the season when everyone knows what their role is. That's not what the solution here is. The solution isn't to have Javonte Green take 6 threes and make 1, 2 of them every now and then. That's not the solution. The solution is you need your current shot makers to actually hit shots, because that's what their role is. And also, you probably need to go out and address this and get more shooting. Because as much as we love Marcus Sasser and talk about Marcus Sasser's talent, he has been inconsistent with how he's played throughout his entire career. And when you are played that inconsistently, that will play into, I'm not saying JB's doing a mistake by not playing him consistently. They have a deep team. I get it, whatever. But when you are inconsistently played and you are reliant on shot making, it's hard to get into a rhythm, and you'll have hot and cold stretches. So you can't really rely on Sasser. I saw some people saying, you should have played Chaz. Chaz had a good game this past game. Throughout the year, he's been hot and cold from deep. I like Chaz. I've liked everything we've seen from Chaz. But when you are putting your eggs in the basket of, let's play this guy that hasn't played in 2 weeks, or this guy that we've played sparingly in every game for the last 2 months, relying on those guys to be your spacers and your shot makers, it's going to be a roller coaster of a ride, because they're not going to be in a rhythm. Ivey has been inconsistent with his shot making, with his 3-point shooting. I think putting all your eggs in that basket is a bit is unreliable. I wouldn't do that. And then, like I just mentioned, putting your eggs in the basket of Javonte Green, go take 5 threes, or Ron Holland, go take 6, 7 threes from the corner. We want you to get those shots up of. Or, sorry, why aren't you taking threes? We want you to start taking 3-corner threes just for him to miss all 3 of them. That's not. The Pistons have a problem. They have a shooting issue. Now, obviously, it's not as blatant when you have Cade on the floor, because he's been really good on pull-up threes. It's not as blatant when you have Tobias, because even though I complain about how bad he is above the break from threes, he's actually pretty fine from the corner. So you can get a 3 every now and then from him in the corners. And then Stu, he'll hit a 3 or 2 every game. It's not as blatant, but it's still very clearly an issue for this team. They need players. They need to go get someone whose role is shoot threes. You're here to make threes. We're not here. We're not going out and trying to get a superstar. No one's saying go out and trade all your picks for a star. No one's saying do any of that. But you have guys on this team who fit perfectly in the role. Cade knows what his thing is. He's the superstar. He does everything. Jalen Duren, he knows that he's being asked to be that secondary offensive creator for them. Okay, he's fitting into it. Isaiah Stewart knows he's there to be their anchor defensively when he comes into the floor, create transition opportunities for the team, protect the rim. He knows where his role is. Sasser, he knows his job is to be this transitional playmaker like we saw in this game, and then be this lockdown defender that's versatile, can play all different ways defensively and create opportunities for them at half court or in transition. Ron Holland, same kind of thing. Be just a Tasmanian devil, cause some havoc, and just be around the ball and make things happen. And be a crazy defender. That's what his role, that's what these guys' roles are, and they have been playing their roles great, I think, to a T. For a majority of this season, they are not 29-10 or whatever the record is for no reason. Yeah, 28-10 for no reason. Those guys are fitting into those roles and doing it greatly. They need somebody, they need to add another guy whose role is, we need you to space the floor for these guys. We need you to shoot threes. We need you to make threes. So when we create these open looks, when we get these open looks, you're hitting them, and our offense looks way better. That's what they need to go and address, and I hope they do address it before the deadline. Obviously, I've been someone who said I've wanted Michael Porter Jr., but again, like I said earlier, go even 2 notches down. It doesn't need to be a star-level player. It doesn't need to be an all-star level player if you don't want to make that type of swing. It can just be a starting caliber player. Heck, it could even be like a 7th, 8th guy in the rotation kind of player that comes over here and you play him 20 minutes a game with certain, they just simply need to get more shooters. They need to get at least one more. Just one more to help it not be so reliant on just dunking in 6, 7 threes in a game to take up all the three-point volume. They need someone else. They need one more shooter somewhere. Coming up, we'll talk about a missed opportunity a player had in this game and why it was disappointing to see. We'll talk about it and break it down coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everyone on their feet. Fans want there to be wants to be there, for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where GameTime comes in. The GameTime app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets. Fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the GameTime app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. Features like the zone deals help unlock great seats at even better value. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the GameTime app today and get in on the action with GameTime. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. These last 2 games was a big opportunity for Jayden Ivey. And he did not take advantage of these last 2 games. He got the start, his first 2 starts this season. First one against Chicago, this past one against the Clippers. And he had a chance right in front of him to do whatever it takes to play aggressive offensively, to create his own shot like many of his fans believe he can, to be this shot creator, to prove that he can be this second option for the team. And in back-to-back games, he just didn't do it. In this game against the Clippers, he was 4 of 12 from the floor and 0 of 5 from deep. Over the last 2 games, he's 0 of 7 from deep. And in this game again, just like the game against the Bulls, JB Bickerstaff elected to play others in favor of him. And I know that there are some Ivy fans that are saying that it's a minutes restriction. He's still on minutes restriction. Jaden Ivey was asked directly at practice, I believe 2 days ago, if he's on a minutes restriction. He said no. And I've told you guys, I know Ivy fans don't want to act like I don't know what I'm talking about and I don't hear things and I don't have connections or anything like that. But I have been under the understanding that he has not been on a real minutes restriction for a minute now. And I've been under the understanding that that's not why he's only playing 20 minutes as of late. It's because JB Bickerstaff is choosing to play other guys. And he was coming off the bench. He's against the Knicks, like all before these last two games. He's coming off the bench, being asked to create and score in these limited minutes, and being asked to impact the game in these limited minutes. Something I think he actually was doing well with. Being asked to come in and just score quickly, and that's what your role is. I thought he was doing well with this. But obviously, Jayden Ivey wants to be more than that. Obviously. And he had the chance in front of him in these two games to prove, hey, you need to have some real consideration to take someone out the starting lineup and put me in. Hey, you need to have real consideration about, hey, I'm part of this future still. I am still one of the main building blocks of this team. Like, he had a chance to show in these limited moments, or in these two games, to take advantage of the moment and really showcase what his fans believe he is. And he really struggled to do so in these two games. In the game against the Chicago Bulls, he only played 19 minutes, and JB Bickerstaff elected to close with Chaz Lanier and Dennis Jenkins, who both had a really good fourth quarter and big reasons why the Pistons won the game. In this game against the Clippers, Ivey was brought in the fourth quarter for 3 minutes, missed both of his shots, and then JB Bickerstaff decided to bring Dennis Jenkins back in the game and close with Dennis instead of Jaden Ivey. These were his chances to really to really showcase himself, and he just didn't do that in these two games. It was disappointing for him. It was something that I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see, but he just wasn't able to do so. And I think, again, as I've been pointing out, if you watch Jaden Ivey, he is not beating guys off the dribble like he once was. I'm not even going to talk about the rim finishing not being good for 3 years. I'm not going to talk about it. Let's just talk about him being a paint touch for the first 3 years of his career. He's been able to get there for the first 3 years of his career. He is not beating guys off the dribble. He's just not. He's not beating guys off the dribble in the half court. He's getting walled up on a lot of his drives, which have led to him, like I mentioned numerous times, it's now made him heavily reliant on three-point volume and three-point variance. And when I say that, I'm talking about the fact that so far this year, nearly 50% of his shots are all coming from three. He has a 45 three-point rate, or three-point attempt rate this year, 45.2%. It feels like almost all of his shots are coming from beyond the arc. And that is due to the fact that he's just not beating guys off the dribble. So he's reliant on he's heavily reliant upon his ability to hit catch and shoot threes and hit tough step back middies, which he's been taking as of late. He's taking these step back middies because he's getting walled off on his initial drive. And when you are this heavily reliant on three-point volume and three-point variance, when you don't hit threes, this is what your game will look like. This is what the game will look like, and you probably won't be played in favor of somebody else. When you go 0 of 5 from deep, your impact just won't be felt as the same if you are that reliant on just three-point shot making and you're not really providing anything else to the team. The team wasn't playing him on ball a ton. JB Bickerstaff has made it clear he doesn't trust him or he doesn't prefer him, I guess would be a better word, as like the point guard, as the person running the offense, creating looks. He's not. So again, when he's not hitting threes, this is what it's going to look like. And he had a chance. All the pressure is, he was playing with house money, especially this game against the Clippers. No one's healthy. No one's expecting the Pistons to win the game. No one's expecting them to even be close. Like, you have the chance to go out there and just play freely and show that you can still create your own shot to whatever degree you could, to get to the rim, to have this big time offensive game. And he just wasn't able to do it. He went 4 of 12 for 8 points in this game. And the Pistons ended up closing with Dennis, who played 21. Harris played 23 minutes. So this was a disappointing stretch for Jaden Ivey the last two games. There's been a lot of talk around him. There's been a lot of questioning around him. These last two games won't do him favors. This was not a great 2-game stretch for him, and he definitely missed an opportunity to take advantage of. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Stay safe out there, and peace out, everybody.